Hi everybody, welcome back to Mr. Y Reads. Sorry I've been offline for a few days. As you can see, my beard is now getting a little bit ridiculous. Let's see how long we can make it before all of this is over. So yeah, Phoenix, we have two chapters left now. So we're gonna try and hit chapter 39. So at the end of chapter 38, Lucky had begun to realise what it was he was going to have to do in order to end not only the conflict, but the destruction of the entire galaxy. So, chapter 39. On the mountainside, the Axa and the humans were all staring up at the black hole. It was tearing the sky to pieces, and the nothing was pouring through. The sight of it began to suck the life and light from their minds. One by one, they succumbed to the living death. "What's happening?" gasped President Thorntree. Horror cracked her painted smile. "The stars are falling from the sky," said King Theobroma. He looked down. "It's over. Nobody can save us now." Lucky shuddered. I'm going to try," he said, almost in spite of himself. "I think there may be a way." It was as if it wasn't him speaking, as if someone braver and wiser had taken over and he was just watching from the sidelines. "But if I save you, will you stop fighting and make peace? Because if you don't, all this will just happen again." The president and king looked at each other with suspicion and hatred in their eyes. "But they made it happen," said the king. "No," said the president. "It was them. The war, the living death. They're responsible for it." No, Che. Out of the way. Oh, God. Stop interrupting the book. Okay? Lucky's heart sank. Even now, they still couldn't see what they were doing. "Don't you get it?" he pleaded. "The living death isn't an Axa plot or a human plot. It's what happens when you destroy dark matter connections. You've both been doing that, so you're both responsible. The only thing that can save you from it is connection. So please, stop fighting. Hold on to each other and don't let go." But still, they would not reply. They would not even meet each other's eyes. Bixa's needles bristled with defiance. "You people are incredible," she shouted. "Peace is the only thing that can save you. Can't you get that through your heads?" They both recoiled from the girl with needles in her hair. "Who are you?" said President Thorntree. "I'm the new Star Talker of the present," said Bixa. "That means I know what you're all thinking right now. You're thinking you can never make peace with them. But you're wrong, because there's no difference between you that matters more than your lives. We're all the same when we're looking into a black hole. We're all us." Lucky gazed at her, amazed that in this darkest and most desperate hour, she seemed to have come into her Star Talker power so smoothly and so confidently. He felt so glad that she was there beside him at that moment. But above their heads, the crack in the sky was spreading. As they watched from behind the radiation storm, they saw planets, suns and moons sucked in, crushed down to nothing, annihilated, as if they'd never existed at all. It was like a dark matter bomb, but as big as a star. Aquarius was gone, and now, as Major Dashwood had predicted, and as Gala had foreseen, everything was going, everything slipping away. The black hole was growing bigger and bigger, more and more powerful as world after world fell into it. Soon it would move beyond Aquarius to the next star system, and the next, until it had consumed the entire galaxy. Darkness began to descend on Charon. Humans and Axa alike were plunged into freezing cold, and the air filled with their screams, their cries, their total terror at the end of all worlds. "Do what Lucky told you," Bixer urged them. "Make peace with each other, now!" And now, at long last, they did it. They dropped their weapons, reached out, and took each other's hands. It was such a small gesture. Such a tiny, fragile thing, almost pitiful compared to the vast forces raging above them in the sky. And yet somehow it helped. It held off the darkness and despair that had assailed their minds. King Theobroma and President Thorntree, Axa troopers and shadow guards, all across the mountainside, people were taking their enemies' hands, linking arms, clutching tightly onto one another for sanity and for life. They held on, and slowly their screams of fear subsided. The waves of despair receded. But still, the black hole was growing bigger, longer, wider, expanding in every direction at once, pulling in more and more worlds. More and more stars were falling from the sky. Lucky stared up at it, cold with fear, and prepared to face the end. Frolics watched him with eyes of blue flame. "So, what are you going to do?" he said. "You're not going to do what I think, are you? You can't, Lucky. You can't." "You've got to leave this mountain," Lucky told the president and the king, avoiding Frolics' question, turning away from his friends. He couldn't look at Frolics or Bixer. He didn't think he'd have the strength to go through with it if he did. "I'm going to use my power now. Anything near me will be destroyed. You have to get everyone away to safety right now." Without another word, the two leaders led their forces away. The two armies moved down the mountainside, connected, arms linked hand in hand. They didn't look like armies anymore. They looked more like small children clutching onto each other, because there was nothing else to hold on to. Axa and humans, the people of the stars and the people of the ground, they left side by side. Lucky remained on the mountaintop, under the unravelling sky, his friends by his side. "You have to go too," he forced himself to say, as he let go of Bix's hand. It was the hardest thing he'd ever done. "You can't stay. No one can survive what's going to happen here." Captain Knox held Mystica's body in his arms. "Without her, I don't want to survive," he replied. He shook his great head in grief. "I wish I was dead." Lucky looked at the heartbroken old man. "No, Captain," he said. "You had the living death and you came back. You've got to live. That's what you want, isn't it?" The captain looked back at Lucky. His eyes were like rain. "You mattered to her, you know," he said very quietly, and then his voice cracked and he turned away. "You mattered to us all." And with those words, he lifted Mystica's body and started to climb down the mountainside. "Frolics," said Lucky, turning to his friend, "you have to take Bazooka. I've been carrying her for you, but she was the professor's, and he said a phoenix always accompanies the Star Talk of the past, so she should go with you. Even a phoenix can't go where I'm going." He lifted the little bird from his shoulder. She perched on his palm, shivering as he held her out to huge Axa. Frolics hesitated, and then finally reached out and accepted the phoenix. He took her in his hands and gently stroked her feather. "It's okay," he whispered, soothing her. "It's okay, Bazooka. I'm here now."
"Bazooka?"
she chirped, glowing crimson gold. "Yes," said Frolics, as she hopped up and perched on his shoulder. I'm not gonna say goodbye, Lucky. You're gonna be okay. Right?" Lucky couldn't meet his eye. "Take care," he said softly. "My brother. My friend." He watched them go down the mountainside together. The new Star Talk of the past with the new phoenix on his shoulder. It was just him and Bixer now. They looked up at the broken sky. Sorry. "I'm glad you were here at the end," he told her. "But don't let them forget this, okay? even if you have to smash their heads together. You've got to make sure they keep the peace. Oh, I will, said Bixer. I'll do some head smashing, don't you worry. I'm counting on you. You're Star Talker at the present now. Bix's face fell. No, she said. I'm not. I didn't really know what they were thinking back there. It was just a bluff. She looked up at the stars, dying before their time. I don't feel any different, Lucky. I don't hear any stars singing. Her needles were totally black, as lightless as the sky. I don't have the power, and I never will. But that bluff of yours was brilliant. He couldn't leave her like this. There was so little time and so much to say. He took her hand again and looked right into her silver eyes. You were the one who persuaded them to make peace. And if you did it without some weirdo power, well, I think that makes you even more brilliant. I think you're the bravest and most brilliant person I've ever met, Bixer Quicksilver. She stared back at him, and then at last she lost her cool and slapped him straight across the face. Ow, he said, stalled. Why'd you do that? 'Cause this isn't fair, she raged, stamping a hoof on the frozen ground. We just met. I want to be with you, have adventures, see things. She shook her head. Isn't there another way? There must be another way. There must. I don't think so, he said. I've got to go now, Bixer. I love you. Her silver eyes filled with tears, and then she grabbed him in her arms and kissed him, hot and sweet and full on the mouth. And then she let go and walked away, leaving him alone on top of the mountain. Alone. Again.